Hello, this is Chris Thomas. I'd like to show you a little trick I use for saving a custom color mix. This would be useful if you are working on a project that lasts several days or even up to several months. For instance, in this painting behind me, I could mix this particular color of gray pretty easily because I've done it for years, but paint dries slightly darker. So even if I match this perfectly right now, it will dry to a darker shade. So when I painted this, I mixed up some extra paint so that I would always be able to match this paint perfectly. So let me show you how I make my tube. First, if you just need to save a small amount of paint, you can make a little container like this. I use aluminum foil. The heavy-duty kind would work best, but regular foil will work also. I start with a square about this size. This is about 4 inches, and I make a tube out of this. Let me show you how I do this. So let's say we have a particular color that we just want to save so we can use throughout the process. First thing I do is I fold this in half, and then I begin folding one end. I fold it over, and then I fold that crease in half again, and I may even fold it over one more time. So ultimately what you're going to be making is a little pouch like this. And that's what that's going to look like. Then I take my paint on my palette knife. I try to get it down into this corner as much as I can, and I will squeeze past the paint and pull my palette knife off. Now I'm going to straighten this back up. I'm going to lay it on a table, and I'm going to push that paint down into this corner. So we have a little pocket of wet paint here. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a pair of scissors, and I'm going to leave myself about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch of flat area, and I'm going to cut this at an angle. This is scrap. And now I'm going to fold this over the same way so I can seal this paint in. I'm going to fold it once a little bit wider, and I may fold that one in half again. And if you really want for good measure, you could fold it a 3rd time. I believe that's good enough. At this point, you have your paint sealed in the tube. Now, you could label the paint what it is, or you could also take a swatch of the paint and mark it if it's going to dry. When I'm ready to use this paint, I take a pair of scissors, snip off the end, and then I'm able to start squeezing from the end. And I'm holding the seams of this together as I squeeze out, and you can see there is my saved paint that I can put back out on my palette. Now, if you need to save a large amount of paint, empty paint tubes can be purchased online. Here's a couple that I've had for several years. So what you'll need to do is, if you have a paint on your palette that you want a large volume of, keep this little source here and then mix up a large volume of paint beside it so that you know that you got an exact match. Once you have that, start putting some of the paint in and tapping it down so that it fills from the bottom up and you eliminate the air in it. Then seal it up, label it, or even put a swatch of paint on it, and then you have your custom color sealed. So I hope this little tip helps you next time you need to save a custom color. Now remember, don't give up, have fun, and keep painting.